Okay, today we're going to be talking about progesterone testing and mainly progesterone testing. I feel progesterone testing is a more accurate way of knowing when to do your breedings. So it's going to be pretty much based off progesterone testing. As you can see on the screen, we have a couple different females in the chart from the Wandoff progesterone machine. And these are actually real life progesterone tests. So we're going to do one by one because if I do all of them together, it will confuse the situation. Also kind of confuse me as I go along. So here we go. Top left, we're going to do Choco. Choco is my own personal female, so I kind of know her pretty well. And as you can see, we normally start progesterone testing around 6 days, which there's more tests to this, but I couldn't fit it all on the screen. So we're going to start at like a 4. And a lot of people do say wait till the blood goes away or lighten up. I believe you really should kind of start testing just normally at day 6, day 7, because I've seen females ready at day 7 and ready to breed that very day, not knowing if it's because the owner missed it or possibly she just was an early breeder. So we're going to start with Choco. So her blood did go a little bit lighter. I really don't like to go till she stopped bleeding because I have bred females that have still been bleeding and they were fertile and they took. So Choco, we started testing her at like around the 4 number. And me particularly, I go day by day with my breedings because I have females that actually rise pretty quick. As you can see, she did rise pretty quick later on. So we started at a 4. And the next day, we caught her at a 5. So then I know she's starting to ovulate. Ovulation kind of tells me when the puppy's going to be due and things like that. So I do look for ovulation and I do test more because I want to know ovulation. It gives me a ballpark when I should do the C-section. We'll talk about that later though. So she went from a 5 to a 10 within a day. That's a pretty high jump, but normal. So I normally do start breeding at a 10 or 12 just because they can jump pretty high real quick. But I don't just breed them and not look at them the next day to see if they went up around 15 or higher. Because I know if they went up around a 15 or higher, I'm pretty good. The eggs were matured at that time and we were able to, catch them. So she went to 13 the very next day. Okay, so 13, that's not high enough for me. I want her to be in the fertile range, as you can see down at the bottom right, 15 to 30. So with that being said, that means her eggs are still not ripe. And basically what I do from there is I just start her breedings over. I normally hit them 2-3 times, just depending on how fast their numbers jump. So the next day I hit her again at a 13.45. With her being at a 13.45, I kind of figure, okay, now she's going to do the real jump. And she's going to go into the most fertile range. And then I kind of do it just because I know they can jump pretty high. And I no longer can do an AI. As you can see, she jumped to a 21 the next day. So I do hit them a little early just so I can AI them. So the next day, she jumped to a 21 on the 6th. That's pretty high. If I was to wait on that 13.45 to go into the mature, eggs matured and the most fertile, I would have kind of missed my AI timing. With a 21, I wouldn't start AIing on a 21. I would automatically go to a TCI. 21, too high for AI, for me personally. So that would have put me in a boat of TCI, seeing her at a 21.4. And ignore the top number because we didn't test her again. We let her go. And that 10 up there is a reverse progesterone test. Yep, it's a reverse progesterone test when she was supposed to be due. So seeing the 21, I really don't need to test her anymore. But I did AI her on the 21 because I already got something on the 13. So just AI on the 21 is just for good faith. I really didn't have to do it, but I just do it anyways. So that's Choco for you. If I started on 21, she would have got TCI. But I went early on the 13.45 and I AI'd her. So just seeing her jump to a 21, I know she was hit at the most fertile range. She had something in there at her most fertile range. Started over because we hit her at 10 and she did not jump to her most fertile range. So there's a chance that the semen died off. I know they say it lasts for a while, but hey, I'd rather have something fresh in there. All right. So from there, we're going to go over to your top right. We got Rockstar. Rockstar is a breeding I did for one of my customers. She used my male boss man, and he comes with all the services, all the reproductive services. So I was able to get a good look at her numbers too. And they did what they were supposed to do. They brought her every time, which is always a good thing. We really don't like to go in blind or having some type of idea what's going on with the female. All right, so as you can see, we started her a little early. Yeah, because she's a lock-in. So we try to get them done and out the way. So she started off at a 2. Her being pretty low, we waited a nice amount of days, brought her back. She was at a 3.57. Okay, still way too early. Nowhere, she's not even ovulating. All right, we brought her back. What is that? 6.5. No, actually, that is a different female. Excuse that 3.57. Okay. So we brought her back on the 11:30. That's another not another rock star. That's just a different test that was added in there. So excuse that. I'm sorry about that. Take that out of there. So she actually did come back at a 6.59. Which is ovulation, which is beautiful. It lets me know that it gives me a whelping date and everything like that. But the breeder that's breeding her, she's pretty experienced. If she asks questions about it, I can give it to her. But she pretty much knows how to do what she's doing. So we do not breed her on the ovulation. That is way too early. We know for a fact, or sometimes for a fact, until we see it, that she's not going to jump to a 14, jump to a higher number. But that's not always the case. But we don't think she's going to jump too far up to the point we can't hit her. Okay, so she brought her back, looks like 2 days, day or two. And she was at 12.45. Like I said, we like to breed them early to let the eggs mature and we get something in them just in case by the next day they skyrocket. Females skyrocket all the time. And if she doesn't skyrocket, we just start it all over again. And we just keep going until we hit them on a fertile range. So with that being said, she was at a 12.45. Now this next one happens a lot, more often than a lot of people think. And this is why it's good to keep testing and keep testing until you see a certain number. So you know for sure that you hit them at a good number. Most likely or hit them before a good number. So with that being said, we went up, we tested her again because we was going to back to back her. And we also wanted to make sure that 12.45 jumped into something fertile the next day. It didn't. So she went back down to an 11.29. So you know what that means. Okay. She went down. So now, me personally, I see this a lot. Either they go down or they stay at a 12 the very next day. It's not foreign. It's nothing wrong with the females. Nothing going on there. It's just a pause or it's just they go down. So with that being said, we end up starting over. We hit on 11.29. in hopes that the next day she jumps pretty quick into the fertile range, which she did. She jumped into a 16.14. So good. We got something in there. Most likely we feel good that she's going to take, and then we're going to continue to keep going. And then the next day, we hit her again, back to back. Because most likely she's going to be still early in her fertile range. And if she's not, okay, we're going to skip a day and we're going to hit her again. So basically that's how we bred her. We back to back her, skip a day, let her catch up if anything was to happen. But she's up at a 16. We don't expect anything weird to happen, like a drop off or a pause. If anything, if she does pause, it's even better because she's not going to go down past the fertile range. Okay. So there you go on Rockstar. All right, now we have Belle. Belle is another one of my personal females. So I pretty much got her down pat. And she's in home. So I most likely, I see what I did with her. I most likely tested her more frequent. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna really start at the 4.61. Oh no, we'll start at 3.58 because it's the day before. So we started there. She was at a 3.58. Okay, too early. We're not worried about it. I'm gonna give her another day because I'm chasing ovulation to know when she's gonna whelp and have a C-section. So I go 63 days based off of that, off of the start of ovulation. So I test her more frequently. Okay. She, from the 4.61, she went to a 6.93. At this particular time, I was shipping with Belle. So at this point in time, I was going to have him ship the next day. And she should fall in the fertile range. But before I tested her, before he put it in the mail, because I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, he's in California. He's right next door. So if I have to drive there, that's what I'm going to do. Which I ended up having to drive because the very next day she went from a 6.93 to a 14. Big jump. So with the 14 being there, just like you can see up there with Choco, she went from a 13 to a 21. I did not want to find myself the next day at a 21 where I wasn't able to AI her and I would have to jump straight to TCI or surgical. So I drove to California the next day when she hit a 14. Luckily, I AI'd her that day. And luckily, the next day she was at 17.96. So that was good. She was in a fertile. I know that's 14. Pretty much the semen is sitting in there and she's still at a fertile range. So I know I'm pretty good there. I'm not worried about it. Then from there, I tested again. She was at a 23.67. If I was to first start breeding her and seeing that number, TCI surgical. But I already started AIing her. So I'm just going to AI her again for good faith. So she ended up getting 3 AIs in a row, just due to how her numbers are. And yes, she gave me 6 puppies. And there you have it. Choco she gave me 6 puppies. Rockstar now is due any day now. And she's looking anywhere from 9 to 11 puppies on the x-ray. They kind of bunched up in there. So we don't really know how many's coming, but we know she's having a big litter. Thank you for listening to the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. And by the way, this is AIs. This is not a shipping time and things like that. So shipping changes, like if you descending and all of that. This is when you have a male there. So I'll make another video about when you should line up your shipping and all of that and what time you should get it in to make sure she's at her most fertile and how often you should progesterone test. But thank you for listening to the video. Like, subscribe. Appreciate you taking out time today to even listen to this. Appreciate you. And remember, 85% of breeding that doesn't take is not the female, it's the breeder. Do your due diligence.